So in today's video, I will be showing to you guys how you can actually handle objections professionally and how you can actually avoid the mistakes we did at the start when we started our own agency. Now, there's a lot of few steps that go into actually handling objections professionally, and number one thing is avoiding the objections. Now, you might be wondering, what do I mean by this? The most efficient way to handle objections is by avoiding the objections. Now, you might think, how is that possible? They always ask me questions at the end. Yes, that's because you're making a mistake in the sales call. What you have to do is already make the sales call in a way where they can ask any other questions, okay? So that means don't have 50 slides, because if you have 50 slides, they're going to be asking 50 questions, right? So make sure to only have 7-8 slides that are concise and has as much information as possible, so they have everything that they need to know. Because at the end of the day, they don't care what system you use. If you use Facebook ads, Google ads, all they care about is it going to make them money, yes or no, right? So you have to put it this way: if you only focus on the most important things, they're not going to have time to ask all these questions, plus all the information you told them is going to stick into their head. And the number one thing is building trust. The reason why they ask objections is not because your service is shit, it's not because your offer is shit, it's because they don't trust you as a person. So I would definitely recommend at the start to ask them a couple of questions. That can be anything from where are you from to, let's say you see they have tattoos or they have a nice watch. You go into their personal lives and make them open up, because people only open up to people who they trust. So if they actually, put their guard down and start talking to you, and then you say something that relates to them, and then they keep talking more and more. We have a lot of sales calls where we talk for over 20-25 minutes just at the start about just, how they're doing, because they really don't have anyone to talk to usually. So if they open up all of that, they're going to be way more likely to hear you out, plus they're going to trust you more. And let's say towards the end of the sales call, they ask you about, oh, what if this service doesn't work out, or the refund policy. At that point, it means you made a mistake beforehand. We don't get barely any objections anymore, because we make the presentation and the sales call in a way where it's impossible for them to ask any objections. Now, going more in depth in this, I'd say definitely don't monologue the presentation, right? So let's say even if you have 8 slides, or let's say you have 50 slides, which I don't recommend, I'd still would say to always keep talking to them. So don't really read off the script. Be like, let's say, okay, so this is the system we use. Have you, for example, used any Facebook ads in the past before? So you make them talk, make them involved in the conversation, because let's say if you keep talking for over 30 seconds, they're gonna lose their attention and they're gonna start focusing on their phone, doing other things, and not really all your focus on you. And that's not what you want. So as I said in this video, I'm not going to be explaining any of how to handle this objection, how to handle this objection specifically, because that does not work, right? Maybe you can persuade them, but the best way is, and I'm telling you this from experience because we did this at the start, we were getting so many questions and we thought, okay, how can we handle these objections? We had an objection sheet. If they say this, you say this, but it's not going to work. Like realistically, let's say they say a sentence and you're looking through your sheet. Okay, this is what I have to say. It does not work. You have to treat the sales call as a conversation, not as a sales call, okay? So that's what people have to get in their head. Do not treat it as a sales call. Yes, of course you're trying to sell them, but they have to trust you. The whole secret behind SMMA is trust, and this is what no one talks about. It's not about having good sales experience and having the best systems. They do not care. All they care about is that you can explain it as simply as you possibly can and as fast as possible, so you don't waste their time. You give them as much information as possible, plus you're a good person to talk to so they can trust you. These are the main things I would recommend to you to do if you want to handle objections correctly. Now I'm going to be explaining to you guys how we actually go over a sales call and how we actually do it. So for starters, I would recommend doing an intro call, but if you're a bit more experienced, I would recommend doing a 1-call close. So how it basically goes is, once we book the meeting, they join the call, right? And once they join the call, we basically just go over a few questions that we have written down beforehand. This is the only thing we have written down, but at this point we already remember them. So we ask them, first of all, just a normal question: how are you doing? Do not ask about the weather. How's the weather? Because no one gives a shit about that. And after that, we always analyze, what they could actually be doing. So the way we do it is, Kayan, my business partner, he's the guy who's really good at sales. So what we do is, he is carrying the conversation, and until he carries the conversation, I'm analyzing the person. So I'm seeing if they have tattoos, if they have paintings in the background, if they have a nice watch, if they have a dog, we analyze it as much as I possibly can, and then I text him on WhatsApp. So I text him on WhatsApp. Let's say they have a dog, and the dog is in the background, and he goes like, oh, you have a nice dog. And they're gonna be like, yeah, I had it for 2 years. And they bring it on camera, and then he goes to say like, I also have a few dogs myself, I'm trying to get a new one, and basically ask questions like, what's the best way to train the dogs, you know, something, so they keep talking. And at that point, you can already see that the conversation is not going straight into their presentation, but into their personal life. And this is the biggest difference that you guys have to understand, is make the conversation about them, make them feel special. And once you do this, they're gonna open up, they're also gonna ask questions about you, so the whole dynamic switches in the sales call. It's not just gonna be you bombarding them with questions and them answering with, you know, very simple answers. And after you have done this, that's when you go like, okay, not to waste any time, let's just hop in the presentation. And they're gonna be super happy. They'd be like, oh yeah, for sure, let's do it. And they're actually gonna hear you out, okay? And then at the start of the presentation, we basically go over our company, right? So we build even more trust. We have pictures of us on sales calls with different clients in person, so they see, okay, this is an established company. Then we go over their problems, and we always ask them, because we know exactly what their problems are. So we basically go like, I'm sure you had this problem before in the past, or am I wrong? And they say, yes, I had this problem. And then we'd be like, do you still have it, or how are you handling it currently? So we make them talk as much as possible, right? So it's not even us talking most of the time, which many of you think it's you who have to convince them. No, it's all about trust. So they talk, and they don't even realize that they open up their whole lives to you, right? And their business life. So at this point, they're gonna trust you. Then after the problems, we go over the solutions, right? And how we can actually do it. We show a few systems on Go High Level on Facebook, nothing more than 5-10 minutes. And after that, we go over the pricing, and they're usually okay with the pricing, because the pricing comes down not to the last slide and how you structure the pricing. Of course, that plays a big part of it as well, but it's because how you handle the sales call beforehand. We already know if someone buys from the first like 5-10 minutes. We know if they're gonna, like 80% chance they're gonna buy or no. We know it for a fact, because the selling doesn't come at the end, it comes at the start, and how you actually carry that whole sales call. So this is one of the most important advices I would give you. And if you don't believe me, fine, go on YouTube, go watch some objection handling sheet, learn that. It's not gonna work, okay? Focus on actually making them open up, building a conversation. Even if you're not good at talking, I wasn't good at talking, I'm still not good at talking, but still, just practice, and you're gonna be better. And this is the best advice I can give you by far. So if you're interested, just follow these steps, and don't worry, you're gonna succeed, I guarantee you. Now, one more thing, if you guys are interested in, you know, joining people in the SMMA space, like building a community, networking, we do have a Discord down below in the description. So if you want to join, it's completely free. We also have like free courses, a bunch of resources for completely free if you're starting out SMMA or if you're already scaling. Now, with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it and subscribe, because it would help me a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video.